Welcome back to Style Esports Season 15. This is round two of our playoffs this evening. On the Rift coming in, we are going to have NWA and Dango Eaters. This is going to be another best of three matchup in the playoffs here. My name is Llama. Alongside me, as always, the one and only All Out Potato.
Yeah, thanks so much for joining us tonight. And we are here with round two of playoffs. And so games should be heating up a little bit as the playoffs continue to go on. And we're seeing some good bands coming out here right out the gate.
Yeah, I mean, you said these are going to be some, only heating up now. This is our Ixtal division, and we actually see that we have NWA that they had a first round bye, so first time we've seen this team in playoffs, but coming in as that second seed, and we've seen second seeds be pretty impressive here, Potato. But Dango Eaters already with a round one win against We Strike First, making their way here, so they're a little bit warmed up, and we're going to see if NWA can bring the heat here. But Dango Eaters, like you mentioned, with these pick and bans on the blue side, the priority pick that they have on this patch, that looks like a Kog'Maw ADC.
And Milio already taken off the board during the ban phase, banned by themselves actually, and Lulu now taken by the opponent will mean that they'll have to reach down a little bit further in the support pool that Kog'Maw usually gets paired with. Soraka also not available, so we'll see. Maybe we end up seeing another kind of enchanter. Sola right now is pretty good with echoes. Maybe we'll see something along the lines of Rakan, or maybe they'll go pivot and pick something for some of the other roles.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the thing is there's still not too much to kind of be able to, place on these teams. We did see Dongo last week. It was actually E-Heal that picked up the Emilio in game number two. Game one, they played Nami. I mean, they're not even showing that support, like you said, for that pairing. They said, we're just going to go all in for this jungle. This is Focaccia Franklin now piloting this Jarvan the fourth in the jungle matchup. Not something they showed yesterday at all, but really liked being that primary engage. And I mean, the control mage here for Titanium Pancakes, great to see very much their play style. So some comfort picks, some kind of stuff picked up. And I mean, NWA seems to have an answer already with a Poppy pick.
Yeah, a nice counter into Jarvan for sure. And we're already seeing, some pieces of identity that might be coming out for these different team comps. J4 and Syndra, a very powerful mid jungle duo that can get a lot of things done around the map, find some nice picks with some Scatter the Weeks. And of
Yeah.
course, Hogmaw, one of the premier ADCs on this patch right now, just capable of pumping out so much damage. But on the other side, Anivia, Poppy offering some zone control, Lulu offering a good amount of safety for whoever their pairing might be. So some promising starts to the draft here.
Yeah, absolutely. Promising starts. And, I mean, you're coming in as the two seed. Like you mentioned, NWA does seem to have some answers, taking away the Lulu, like you mentioned, and a team that showed some great potential here throughout the Ixtal division in Style Esports this season. But, I mean, they have a little bit more knowledge after maybe doing a little bit of scouting and seeing Dongo play last week here. And some of the targets, again, going towards like the ADC pool, trying to ban away a couple of OBBY's ADC pairings there with the Lulu, those hyper carries. Only one other support, that's Silas. Maybe that's kind of a little bit of a cheeky support pick potential too, but they decided to ban away the Silas pick. I would kind of be surprised if Dongo did pick that up. But I do expect to see kind of an enchanter for Dongo when they kind of still have lots of options. NWA now having to pick their fourth choice, and it is going to be an Ashe as that carry to pair with Lulu. What do you think about this champion on this current patch?
I really like it actually. I think before Ash was kind of missing damage, but now with the Rage Blade build coming online, with the Q damage changes also coming on, I think that if Ash is put in a position where she can consistently hit, which with good positioning I think is pretty possible, it can. It I think is one of the strongest DPS options in the game. Now it
Yeah.
is, yeah, sporting kind of a low win rate, but I think piloted correctly can still be very effective.
And are you liking kind of the Storm Razor Infinity Edge kind of build? Is that what the core identity of that champion right now, you think, is kind of that slow, some of the on hit damage, as well as kind of just high auto attack numbers?
Yeah, I'm more of a Rage Blade Wits End enjoyer currently,
Mm.
because I think it synergizes really well with the Q attack speed, but I do think both builds can be viable.
So yeah, it'll be interesting to see kind of yeah, both of those seem like they have been getting some play. Even Kraken Slayer as an option too, potentially to get that true damage here. But as we kind of look at these rest of these picks rounding out, we see Olaf and Sona picked in a blind pick Olaf in the top lane. It looks like, and again, there's that enchanter we kind of mentioned here, Potato, to go alongside the Kog'Maw. Kog'Maw as a hyper carry likes to have the support alongside that pick. So definitely an enchanter that we have Eheel very comfortable and known for. This is a player now that has a lot of these comfort champions. They're most played being Soraka, Nami, Sona, Karma, Lulu, right? Like, name the gambit there. But with a lot of that Kog'Maw damage coming through, and then Olaf as a pickup, NWA says, you know what, we need some primary engage. Let's pick one of the great top lane tanks here with a Malphite as the last pick.
Yeah, and I really like the way that these drafts ended up rounding out. The Yumi ban, I think, was definitely very
Yeah,
necessary to
absolutely.
deny it with the Cobalt combination.
And
And
how's it already back? Like, didn't we get rid of this champion? Like, how is Yumi already back to pick ban?
I just always when you can have a invincible enchanter, I think that will always have a good amount of value. And I was also actually looking at Malphite as an option with that Silas ban. I was wondering if they were going to ban it with the thought of picking up something with a big impactful ultimate like Malphite. So glad to see that come out. Although I think on the other end, the Olaf here might actually end up providing a lot of good value because if you're looking at the NWA team comp, right, you have a lot of zone control, a lot of CC with the Ash arrows, the Nivea Cash, Poppy Knockaway, obviously the Malphite ultimate, and Olaf can really just immune through all of that.
Sure.
And there's not that much crazy mobility or kind of snap damage on NWA's side to sort of deal with him. So I can potentially see this pick from Dango Eaters pose a big problem for the NWA squad.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely something to that, and now we do have to see what Nitro Dax in the top lane is going to be able to do on this Olaf. Not something that they've shown a lot here, at least on their op.gg, and in the playoff match. I don't think they showed that either here in season 15 playoff results. So, I mean, you kind of have to say, hey, Dongo, are we going to be able to put you? This is a guy that did play Silas actually game 2 top lane into an Ornn pick, but in game 1 played Ornn themselves. But you're putting quite a bit of resources into this pick now, and saying, yeah, as you said, there's a lot of utility, but the part that you can't immune if you're Olaf is this Anivia wall. And that's kind of this key piece of CC that I want to see how NWA's mid laner will be able to use that. Because if PNIS is going to be able to be successful with where that wall is placed, that can be a big shutout for this Berserk top laner here after they're trying to charge in for the team.
Yeah, absolutely. Have to agree with that. Nothing like stopping an unstoppable as just shoving a giant block of ice in your face. And they've got the Poppy to potentially combo with it too, right? So
Yeah.
I'm
Oh, yeah.
curious to see if, we might get some team fights where we get a Poppy and Nivea combo, and that's a bit of a treat as well to catch out some members.
I mean, Poppy and Nivea, if you're a Hardhead Zone fan, game 5, that was what we pulled out here. So, something in game 1, NWA might be taking notes. I mean, both strong champions and provide so much utility. So it feels like NWA is going to be the CC force, and Dongo Eaters has to be the immunity to shove on through it. So, I mean, we're going to have to see here. This is a best of 3 this evening in Style Esports Season 15. This is our Ixtal division. So the players are preparing their loadouts, and you have heard our thoughts, but we got a prediction live right now. If you want to put down points for who's going to win this game number 1 of this best of 3 series. On the other side of a short spectator delay, we will be finding out for ourselves as well. So stay where you're at while we get set. And then after this break, we'll see who takes game number 1. We'll see you on the Rift. It is game number one of this best of three this evening in round two of the Ixtal division of playoffs in style esports. Once again, I am Llama alongside All Out Potato, bringing you the action this evening on the Rift. And these two teams are going to show what they got. Can NWA as the two seed continue their dominance in this division, or will the pressure that's pushing forward from Dango eaters continue to eat through this NWA squad?
Yeah, and last time I saw this team on cast, they came away with a very convincing 3-0 victory. And, coming in as the 2 seed, definitely in a strong position. So we will have to see if that showing continues tonight.
Yeah, and I mean they seem to draft something as kind of this, immovable wall. Lots of, utility and crowd control being drafted from this squad. When you take a look at your carries being champions, these couple of Frost ladies, you got Anivia and Ash, both providing high utility slows, stuns. I mean, across the board. And you're going to pair that with champions like Malphite and Poppy that also provide lots of knockups and pushbacks and, all of these different pieces of utility. And I mean, gosh, if we're talking about utility, Polymorph, one of the strongest in the ability, NWA really going to try to shut down anything that Dongo Eaters is trying to do here.
Yeah, absolutely. I think both of these teams' carries will have to be very careful in how they navigate these team fights because none of them are particularly mobile, and there are a lot of threats
Yeah.
on both sides to keep their eyes out for.
Yeah, that mobility is a really key piece, I think, too. I mean, especially something like Kog'Maw. Like, Kog'Maw has not been a Premier 80 carry for a long period of time, Potato, right? And then, like, on these most recent item changes, the champion's really accelerated into popularity. But, I mean, if you don't know how to play Kog'Maw correctly and you don't know when to use your W for the attack range and you get out of position, you're one squishy, what is this a little unicorn? Like, what is this champion right now? But, like, Kog'Maw can get caught quickly and really get punished for some of those positioning mistakes. And granted, Ash at least has a little bit more kiting potential in their kit. But I kind of want to see, as you said, the immobility here, two guys, one tumble, two guns, one tumble, is going to have some challenge being able to properly position, I think, in these fights because you are the primary damage source in these late game team fights.
Yeah, and you mentioned the W usage as well, and I think that is so important, especially for newer Kog'Maw players. Your damage when that ability is up versus when it's not up is just two completely different worlds.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially if you go for some of those tankier builds that incorporate things like Titanic Hydra or Randuin's Omen or things like that. When your W is down, your range is non-existent, your damage is really slow, so the timing of that ability is going to be absolutely crucial.
Yeah, it really is. And I mean, and I've been unfortunate enough that on this patch I've played with two first-time Kog'Maw ADCs when I'm playing support in solo queue, and like this is like Diamond One solo queue. And like Potato, like, oh my gosh, first-time Kog'Maws have no idea what they're doing. Like it's such a crucial uptime ability in team fights, especially, but even in some of this kind of team fight, you don't have wave clear. You don't have any way to AoE these waves, and we're seeing results of that is it's allowing the side of NWA to be able to crash this wave. And Halise seems to be in the area, and J4 was hovering down here as well. Neither jungler able to really make something happen, but E-Heal gonna try to freeze this wave just a little bit so Two Guns can just pick that up outside of tower and seem to do okay with a little bit of a freeze here. But in the bot lane at least, the CS seems to be within just a couple. So Two Guns showing a little bit of Kog'Maw mastery early on in this first game.
Yeah, I do expect it's going to largely be a farming lane, although we do see some of the pressure of the Ashe Lulu coming on down here. Ashe, especially with the chase down potential and the DPS buffs on Q, can actually be a bit of a lane bully. But on the other side, Kog'Maw, with the more recent changes, especially the W mana cost nerfs, helps out a lot. But here comes a gank from Fakacha Franklin, just getting a few hits in
Oh,
against PNIS, but Flash Force from Titanium Pancakes, Flash Stun does not find it against the wall, but a lot of damage will end up going down. One more auto is going to do it, and there's First Blood coming in from Police. A nice counter gank play.
yeah, the flash from Fakacha Franklin was looking for a little bit of pressure after the early health chunk trade. But look at this, Fakacha down there, three flashes used.
Yep, Flash forced out from Oh Baby here and is going to try and run back to their tower. Does seem like they will be able to do so and
But the
starting to
counter gank
return
once
some
again.
damage against two guns. Yep, there's the ghost popped already.
Teleport?
Two guns force the Flash away. Heal expended as well. Teleport coming into the bottom tower from Nitro Dax and
It's a
the Olaf
turn.
is going to be scary there. There's the ghost popped as well, but there's a nice stun against the wall. Khalees picks up another one and there's the wall we were talking about earlier. Nitro Dax now having to run for his life. Oh Baby getting a little bit low here. All members with the blinking red health bars, but at the end of the day, it's a lot of resources expended. 2 kills going over to NWA.
Yeah, and still 4 members down here. NWA wants to keep this play going. Nitro down is stunned and
Yeah.
absolutely
Oh,
destroyed. They committed the teleport for that play, and Nitro Dax 5 got punished for it. 4 members of NWA making the play on the bot side. Meanwhile, Malphite is slapping away with this rock in the top lane, getting a plate for themselves too. And the response from NWA was clinical in the bot lane.
yeah, this Poppy is not messing around, bringing in the hammer against her opponents here. Yeah, it is going to be a trade of plates in the mid and top lane, but overall, you will have to favor the state of NWA here. One stun is 1 kill the way that these have been going.
Man, but if I'm a Dango Eaters, I'm not too happy if I'm the bot lane here. Both those bot lane kills went like the top laner died and the jungler died. Like take a look at Two Guns and E heal. They're 0-0-0 on both ends, but because of all the action, the bot lane, like guys, this is why are we partying in the bot lane here? Like what's going on, you know? And so this bot lane is still untouched and unscathed. But Sicarius and Oh Baby able to get at least a little bit of assist gold from that play. And like you mentioned, it was all Poppy here with the hammer swinging on down into the bot lane, counter jungling very well on these ganks. On top of Jarvan the Fourth, and just being really successful in getting the damage in. And so Nitro, at least getting back top lane, is going to be able to recover a plate for themselves and tie up at least that single lane gold lead. But I mean, if you're at parity in Olaf versus Malphite, I don't think you're super amused going into mid game here because you're going to have one big tank boy. And if Olaf does enough damage to shred through the carries, that's going to be a much less valuable Viking on your squad.
Yeah, Olaf does want to be ahead, and I think a lot of that might end up happening in the team fights as we get there later on. But certainly right now, it has been Elise finding all the advantages. Nice dragon take on the base timer
Yeah.
here, though, from Dango Eaters. Getting the vision, having the timer, and grabbing their first objective. And here we go, Ragnarok expended in the top lane, trying to engage onto Douglas, but Malphite's just going to easily shrug that off and walk it out.
Yeah, but look at Halise. This has been the player of the early game looking to make plays happen around the map. Here comes that ultimate.
Yep, and without Ragnarok, there's no CC immunity now, and Douglas gives him a nice rocky slap in the back of the face to take down the 4th kill for NWA.
Yeah, that's a little bit of a rocky start for the squad of Dongo Eaters. You might have used Ragnarok, but you got Ragnar-rocked by the rock. Uh, And now that's going to mean that the cross map play will also come through. Halise able to start up this Rift Herald on the back end. Like you called out, it was a great early dragon, but with that death, it does mean that the Rift Herald will be secured by NWA. And Katja Franklin seems very aware of this now. And they're just going to try to support this bot lane just a little bit. The Cataclysm's available and no flashes. I'm surprised that Jarvan isn't just trying to force this. I think that's a play you can look for as a level 6 J4 into no flashes in the bot lane, but opts to just reset and try to get that sequencing in the top side here. And level 6 is starting to come through for nearly every member on the Rift, with Kog'Maw and Sona the last to hit it. But this is going to be some big fighting power opportunities now that we have the Unleash power available for Syndra, now that we have Cataclysm available, now that we already saw the Ragnarok being used. Like, this is the time when I want to see Dango Eaters start to strike.
Yeah, and level 6 is a defining moment for these teams as a lot of these champions change so much with their ultimates available. And yeah, Fakacha Franklin hasn't quite been able to find the impact that they want so far. And with a lot of the flash timers still down from that earlier bot lane play, there's maybe just about a minute or so left to try and take advantage of some of these. And
Oh,
here we go,
another
going on to
3v3.
Zacharias. There's one of those flashless champions. The Sona ulti is used, but unfortunately will miss. And here come the ultis in response. Wild Growth is good. Enchanted Crystal Arrow goes down as well, but looks like both sides are going to disengage with no kills to be found.
Yeah, just the heal used and ultimate from Cesarius there in the bot lane, and ultimately the disengage coming out from the Scarlet Hammer there. Keeper's Verdict does go down and is able to knock out Fakatra Franklin. So it's a bummer that you don't get the flash there because that's hard to repeat gank when the time comes. But at least a little bit of skirmishing in action and a play that was looking like it might have been okay, but you don't have the damage there quite yet. Now take a look at this play in the top lane, Potato. Here comes Anivia top.
Yep, a late Ragnarok and a nice TPN from Anivia is going to find the kill here. NWA very decisive with the way they're pulling the trigger on these plays. Poppy with no hesitation on those stuns earlier on, and Malphite with no hesitation on these ultimates, either getting some nice picks back to back on the top side.
And there is some of that mental edge. You come into this as the second seed here now in the second round of playoffs, Potato, and these teams might have matched up at at least once here in the earlier season. But when you have that mental edge, you're able to just commit and pull the trigger. And it does look like here that it's Dango Eaters playing respectfully, passively, and a little bit more frightened, it seems like here. And it has been NWA time and time again initiating the plays, playing past the vision, getting the kills for their squad. Now up over 2,000 gold and all the kills to their name at 11 minutes. Seems like NWA has just been able to put the pedal to the metal early on in this series.
Yeah, I wonder if some of the hesitancy might have come from the earlier plays not working out, but no time for that as the Crystal Arrow goes onto Two Guns One Tumble, forced to
Here's the
burn their
play.
flash, but here's the TP in response coming in from Nitro Dax. There is no Unstoppable Force able to stop that one, but without Ghost, this Olaf is slow and has to run manually. Fakatra Franklin trying to come on over. A nice Cataclysm is going to almost get Khalees. Two flashes burned, but no kills to be
Here's
found.
Syndra. Look at Syndra.
Firing on the backside. Yep, Syndra is here. Titanium Pancakes, a nice shutdown onto Poppy, starts things off. The minion wave is getting escorted in. The double kill getting picked on over,
Oh,
and now
teleport
it
now.
is a fragile
No
Lulu.
ultimate though.
Teleport coming in from Douglas. Yes, no Unstoppable Force, but looks like the enemy team will not pick up on that. Is scared off by the presence of this big rock here, but two nice kills going over to Titanium Pancakes.
And those are the ultimate timers that we were talking about here, Potato. They got all of them down, were able to burn the flashes, and then continue to chase. Dango Eaters was able to successfully stop that damage, and now Douglas might be in trouble. Has to hold under their tower. Two guns still in the area. Will just disengage, but finally getting some kills on the board. Dango able to pull the trigger, commit the teleport to get down there as well, and able to get the two kills onto Titanium. Without Titanium there, all of NWA might have been able to get out scot-free. So needed 5 members now, but now Two Guns is the only one still down here, and they're going to be in
Yeah,
trouble.
without any summoners, that is going to mean that they're going to go down. The timing is awkward too. A bunch of resources were burned at that fight immediately prior to Dragon, and Dango Eaters had not had the chance to reset and spin the gold either, so they will have to give over this Hex Tech. Fortunately, they were able to secure the first Drake, so it is going to be 1-1 on the Dragon count, but with Cockball going down and Rift Herald dropped on down, it's a good amount of gold going over to NWA.
So now let's look forward maybe the next minute here. As you said, they did have a good play. Dango was able to get some kills, but unfortunately handed one back at the end of that, as well as handing over this dragon. But with a minute now until the Rift Herald hits the map and tower plates falling in 10 seconds, let's see what NWA can move this lead around the map. Seems like Olaf still wants to stay in the bot lane and doesn't have the teleport available. However, at this point, still 5 members. Seems like a little bit of a mistake from Dango in the macro here, because they still have 5 members in the bot lane. Like, take a look at where the map's at here, Potato. All 5 members here in this bot quadrant, but the objective is gone, the plates are gone, and it's really hard to start sieging these outer towers right now because you don't know where the enemy of NWA is. So how can Dango start to move their resources, their vision, their members to the top side to get vision, but instead they just want to force on Oh Baby with no flash there. It's going to be used.
Yep, used to get themselves out to safety, and now it's going to go on to Sicarius. The Poppy Hammer is going to charge up, but only find one. A stun is really good, though, and a chain CC is perfect onto Fakatra Franklin, going to go down to Khalees there. These turns from the Poppy have been immaculate so far.
Wow. And so, Potato, as I'm talking about trying to switch resources topside, Dango says we want to go all in bot, but we see what happens when Baby still has flash. When there's not enough damage on this Kog'Maw, not even having an item completed yet, this is not the Kog'Maw that you can fight around in 100-0. And we saw the result now, the second death for Fakacha Franklin in the jungle. So Rift Herald is now spawned at this point. No members, no vision, no information around this second objective. And we have to see if Shirley's going to continue to stand the test of time in the top lane, because look at J4 moving right back toward the bot lane.
Yeah, and it seems like what's been happening throughout this game, at least in the opening minutes, is that Dango Eaters have consistently thrown resources over at NWA, and NWA has just been able to absorb the pressure easily as Two Guns once again going to go down to Lulu here as Nivea also finds the TP play down, taking down both
It's
members of
back
the
to
bot
back.
lane, potentially is going to crack open the first tower now.
Yeah, this Anivia, both these last teleports have been awesome in getting these kills across the map. That Unleashed teleport topside was able to get the first kill onto Nitro Dax 5, and now this one in the bot lane also able to be successful. So great to see this tower going down. Titanium Pancakes and the rest of Dango Eaters has to play on the back foot because they're just not able to get to these plays fast enough, and it's NWA that seems to be out rotating around the map.
Yeah, these NWA movements and all the ways they're using their resources defensively in these games have just been clean and clinical, able to ward off the pressure and know just how to turn it around when the moment is right.
Yeah, they're able to put up that wall here. And I mean, even though we see them trying to push forward, they don't have the resources to do so quite yet. And this is another one. They're going to get the stun onto two. Here comes Enchanted Crystal Arrow. But again, they can just stop the aggression and completely reset the fight again.
Yep, I mean, it looks like a decent engage, right? You hit the 2 mana on ulti, but there's just no damage dealers anywhere nearby. Khalees may be making a small blunder there, ulting Nitro Dax away to their own safety as they were on just one health.
Oh,
But here comes Fakacha Franklin, blast Tony over the wall. The Malphite ult is going to completely whiff on the side, but Fakacha Franklin is looking like they're in dire straits nonetheless. A few follow flashes to get the chase, and they are going to find Douglas now on no mana. The stun goes
oh,
out to Titanium Pancakes
Nitro
simply not
behind.
with enough damage, but Two Guns is free
Nitro.
firing, and Nitro Dax is on the backside. That TP coming on down. Poppy might regret not taking them down all the way. The Malphite recall is going to get interrupted. There, Douglas going to fall as well. So a few nice kills there on the backside, generously donated over to Two Guns as well here on the Cogmaw. The finished Bork and is going to start making his way towards a couple more items now as well.
Man, the aggression from Dango Eaters now finally rewarded in that fight. Nitro Dax, after resetting, had a great teleport flank behind the members of the squad that had funneled in to chase down Fakacha Franklin. E-Heal did such a good job using the heals to keep that J4 alive long enough for this Olaf to get to the fight and completely obliterate these other members of NWA. NWA has been so precise at being able to stop the aggression, but when they become aggressive themselves, slightly overcommitted for the first time we've seen them in this game. But look at that arrow from downtown, just 100-0 on Two Guns here, 100-1. Oh, PNIS was not going to let that one go.
No, two flashes exchanged there. Did look like the Kog'Maw might have been able to live for just a moment there, but is going to go down, and that's 10 seconds to Drake, so it is an important death and an important catch to find. But yeah, to speak to your point earlier, right, this is some of the power that we're seeing out of these Enchanter compositions, just able to make their team so durable. And so we do see Ehio here going with the W Max build on Sona, which has been popular lately, able to offer so much resistance. And earlier, J4 with the Gore Drinker, with the consistent Sona heals coming in every 5 seconds or so, was able to just take that fight and slog it out until the rest of the members could arrive. And even now, with the pick found on Dragon, they're still able to trade on the top side, getting the top lane inner tower in exchange.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I think that was really well played here. We saw, I mean, it almost felt like a repeat of that last pre-dragon fight. Two Guns fell once again before the second dragon that was claimed from NWA, and again got caught out before this third one. However, instead of these members funneling down to the bot lane, these members decided to play on the opposite side, which is exactly what you're supposed to be doing. Fakacha Franklin and Nitro were able to be successful in getting the inner tower top, And because so many members from NWA committed to the Dragon, that allowed the top inner to fall and was able to really keep this gold lead really tight. We're within 400 gold, cresting the 20-minute mark, Potato. And even though a Dragon is in the advantage of NWA, Kog'Maw starting to come online with an item and a half. We're seeing close to 2 completed items as well for a champion like Syndra and Olaf. And so now we're going to have to see what these team fights look like. Because how do you position? And as I look at these 5v5s, it's really going to come down to the carries positioning here. And if this Ragnarok on Olaf is going to be able to shred through one of these immobile carries early enough in the fight.
Yeah, and as we were coming into this game, it seemed like NWA was finding most of the advantages throughout the early game, getting play after play in their favor. But those two crucial plays, that one series of events around the bot
Oh,
tower dive, and the next one really brought the gold back. And here, Oh Baby is caught, does have Flash and Ghost, but is unable to use them to escape in time. Sakari is just a little bit too far away to render assistance there. So a nice pickup on the Ashe, now their third death for this game.
yep. I mean, and like you mentioned, right, it was that one overstep there in the top lane that really put a lot of the pressure back. Granted, even though, as you said, all NWA early game now, at this point, as we're seeing, it's like, feels like people are just getting caught off in side lanes. First it was Obaby, and now it might be Nitro.
Yep, and no Ragnarok available, so should go down here. Just has no way out of this play. A bit of an overstay on towards this bot tower. It's actually trading a decent amount of
Oh, but
damage back
Baron's
on
going
the
to be
Khalees, but
started.
yeah, it's going to be the call to start the Baron already.
No,
The Hawkshot is going to spot it out. Sona's getting quite low here, and it looks like with the Nivea flying in, they are going to be forced to disengage. I don't dislike the look, but
no.
definitely wise to hop off of the Baron after starting it.
Yep. Yeah, that is good to know. You got to hop off once PNIS is in the area. And so it does mean that they're going to have to regroup, try to hold the mid tower there. And even though we love the Enchanter for some of the durability it provides the team, it does mean that you're lacking that threat when your top laner has died in the side lane. Who's going to be tanking up this Baron, right? Jarvan the Fourth wasn't there to start it, and now you have like a Syndra, Kog'Maw, and Sona. And so now, speaking about Squishy, this E heal might be in trouble. They're 100 to 0
Oh,
goodbye.
yeah, it's going to walk straight into the bush trap. Malphite OT expended in no time at all to react to that one. Sona going to pick instantly, but what can they get off the back of that? Are they able to successfully siege these towers? Maybe find an objective somewhere?
I mean, maybe you can start to use this. You don't have any kind of buff or anything around your neck. And I'm kind of surprised to see this squad still down here. The Dragon's not going to be spawning still for a little bit of time, 90 seconds on that objective. Yes, Baron is available, but they got the pick on the bot side and not even inner tower they're going to be able to get for their trouble.
Yeah, the Siege is unfortunately not holding. Their central wave clear was very good. I thought there might have been a small opportunity there on the bot side because Enchanted Crystal Arrow was still available onto the lone Cogmaw. Douglas was flanking on the backside with the Malphite as well, but maybe NWA didn't quite have full information there or didn't have the confidence to pull the trigger
Yeah.
so rapidly to try and pressure the tower a
And
bit
and I
more.
think the other challenge with that is, like you had mentioned, yes, the Enchanted Crystal Arrow was up, but the only other way to really primary engage is Douglas's ultimate. And because the Unstoppable Force was used for that one pick on the E heal, that's a very long cooldown. That's a window where they don't feel like they can force because of that. But now, as we see that this is just coming off cooldown right now, they're getting control of the side lanes as well. They're going to try to start up the Baron themselves, but an immediate response and a double teleport now from the side of Dango Eaters.
Yeah, Nivea getting run down with a nice wall. The Nitrodax is going to immune the Poppy ultimate though, but the Douglas counter engage is really good, and the
Kagama's
rest
not
of
here
the
yet.
damage members are not arrived at the fight. You're absolutely right. Titanium Pancake's really low, and the Nivea wall is going to force out the flash from Ehio. Douglas continuing on to the chase here, but the Unstoppable Force being expended will mean that engages are going to be difficult.
Wow, but look at the summoner spells expended for this. Yes, you got the flash heal from E heal, but OBB and Sicarius both used both of their summoner spells. So that's going to be very, very scary. They're half health bars. They're going to try to fight it.
Yeah, the Poppy is going to disengage for Kocha briefly there. Rampage now for
But look
Titanium
at two
Pancakes
guns.
as Douglas goes down. Two Guns is healthy and firing, but Titanium very low on the side. And a crucial Anivia stun is going to force
Oh,
out the Kog'Maw Flash. Ehio trying their best to do their namesake and keep this Kog'Maw topped off.
they
Oh,
have W
BB
now.
actually finding themselves in very hot water now. The Kog'Maw ultimate
They're
snipes
so
not
low.
quite able to find it, but look at that. 4 flashing health bars, living artillery barrages coming out will mean that NWA will have to see the space base for now. Scatter the Weak doesn't quite find their target. Various members trying to find their way back to base. Dragon, though, still available and not started just yet.
Oh, but they're gonna flash back in. They want to keep going.
Yeah, the flash find does land true onto Titanium Pancake. Sicarius now running for their life. Nitro Dax ghosted on
Oh, they're
out.
still a
Is
little
going
bit
to need one
alive.
more hit. Two guns going down to the
No.
glacial path of this Anivia here. Now Douglas has rejoined on the backside. The Sona is going to be free pickings for the Malphite ulti coming on through, and Nitro Dax now forced to run. Did get the pick off onto Sicarius, but that is all that they're
Oh, they
able to
want
find.
it still.
Actually going to Ragnarok their way through onto Anivia, but the damage is good. The Olaf is not able to find enough, and this Anivia is such a big problem for Dango
No,
Eaters, now
but the Koch is
legendary.
gonna go in.
Yeah, they're gonna try and find the steal maybe,
But
but
they're so
Douglas is
low.
marking them very
They're
well.
so
Can they
low.
deny the engage? The
No,
Poppy
they can't.
ultimate is not
Oh!
going to land, but the smite unfortunately is not either, as Focaccia Franklin gives their life in an attempt at soul point.
Wow, Potato, that fight just kept getting closer and closer. I mean, I thought Two Guns was going to be able to absolutely wipe the fight, but they lost both their summoner spells early enough that when the turn came, yes, you have the W available for the extra range, but you just can't physically get an attack range of everybody. So well held space from NWA to stop the critical lethal damage from coming through. They bought enough time for Douglas to teleport back in. They were able to pick up the kills, a devastating miss on the EQ combo, and now they're going back in. They have teleports back available. They have ultimates available. Huge scout of the week.
Yeah, CZ Chain leaning out to Titanium Pancakes, but they're able to stay alive for a very long time. Two Guns firing hard onto Douglas, going down very low. Another great Anivia stun lands, and the ultimate is going to completely deny the area, and we're seeing how much value this Anivia is providing in each of these fights. That previous one, the Glacial Storm, doing so much DPS and zoning potential, finding a few crucial stuns onto Two Guns. But right now, this is going to be the signal to start up the
But
Baron.
it's
TP not
4v5.
available for Douglas. Will have to just manually walk on over. Titanium Pancakes is dead, yes, but TP available in 16 seconds if they stall it long enough. But CC lands onto E
They
Heal.
can't turn it.
Arrow going on down. Ragnarok is expended now as they start
Can we
running
get
in.
ult?
3-man Cataclysm gets on in, and Two Guns is
They might
able
have
to
it.
fire for free, completely free on the backside. CC Immunity now running down onto Anivia. Anivia is going to go into Egnivia and is going to get fried in the frying pan. Shutdown going over to Kog'Maw. Now the chase goes on to Khalees, but the Dead Man's play is going to make them very fast. Will they turn back onto the Baron? Those were some great picks off the back of a great fight.
Down over 10 kills, down thousands of gold, down a member, and Dango Eaters can press the go button, get the massive cataclysm. Focaccia Franklin locked all of those members down. They did the time for their sins and they locked them up when it matters, able to get the huge cataclysm down, and just Two Guns, full health, used all of that living artillery and all those goo blasts from the bio arcane barrage and barrage down everyone from NWA. The Baron is their prize. The gold lead has closed to under 1,000 now, and we still see that Dango Eaters are looking to munch up this game one.
Yeah, Doggo Eaters will have to try and pick up a lot of standing gold here to press their Baron advantage as much as possible. Previously, we saw that highlight team fight from NWA, but as you mentioned, this time around, it was Doggo Eaters' turn to turn things right around. Huge and decisive engages
Yeah.
coming out from Focaccia Franklin, and a nice turn from Nitro Dax running down this Anivia that had been so crucial to the success of NWA previously. And of course, Two Guns free to fire as much as they wanted on the backside.
Yeah, and like you said, it was the decisiveness. It was, we are starting the Baron, we are taking the fight, and this decisiveness is not stopping. Nivea doesn't have the egg, and they might be dead once again, but an amazing wall.
Yeah, a fantastic Anivia wall. There is going to be enough disengage, and here
Carries
comes
aren't here.
Douglas for the two-man knock-up. Nitro Dax is going to try and survive, but will not be able to do so. Focaccia Franklin trying to find their way to the blast cone will get out of dodge, but it is Anivia surviving and Nitro Dax going down.
Yeah, but look, that was crucial mistake still from Dango Eaters. You have the Baron on all 5 members, but Syndra was mid and Kog'Maw was top lane. They were trying to get these mythic items completed. They were trying to get that third item finished. Now Kog'Maw has finished their third item, but it's a Gargoyle Stone Plate. And like, I guess I can see the value in it, but Kog'Maw's been untouched in these fights.
Yeah, Sona really trying to provide the support that they need. So I can understand the idea, but yeah, I might have even wanted to see maybe one of those health items. But Flash
They're going
engage from
forward.
Ehio going on to Douglas. Remember, no unstoppable force.
Oh,
They can't get on out. And Flash expended from Zacharias as well. This Lulu will have to scamper on away. And Dragon is
wow.
up in 30 seconds. So one of their primary engaged targets is not going to be available. They do have the TP, but they are going to be spawning a full 15 seconds after the Dragon comes up. So this might be a good window for Dango Eaters to find something, but looks like they're going to go for mid-prio instead here for the moment, maybe looking to get a bit more pressure on tower before turning back to Dragon.
Yeah, only 30 seconds left on this Baron buff, and Nitro has already lost theirs. So instead of pushing with that last wave, decided to go to Dragon right on the time of the spawn. That does mean that Douglas will not be here for it, and it's just going to be a counter push mid now.
Yeah, NWA counter pushing hard in the mid lane, looking for this mid inner tower, maybe even trying to find their way to the inhib tower if possible. But the minions are a little bit slow, and Titanium Pancakes getting a nice scatter of the week on the backside. This Anivia getting very low, and the TP is going to come in from Douglas, but can they escape? A nice Glacial Storm is going to stall some members, and here comes the runaway. A good wall is going to be a lot of disengage for now, but now Douglas caught out a little bit on the front side here. Fakacha Franklin stunned up, is forced to burn the Malphite ulti to disengage. Cataclysm still available if they can get into range, but looks like the Anivia is going to buy enough space for the rest of the team to run on out.
Wow, an amazing play there. I think stream might have missed it, but let's see if we can get us back to live here. We are at. Yeah, that was an amazing fight. That was so dang close here. And it feels like it is still within inches this game.
Yep, the gold lead's still very close to each other. It is also the mid-inner going on down. Dango Eaters was able to capture it as both teams now have a bit of time to take a breather, take a reset. Still several minutes before the next big objectives come up. We've got 2 minutes on the Baron, 3:45 on a potential Dragon Soul for NWA. Members back on the map now, though, so NWA is going to try and find a bit more pressure here, both on the mid and bot side, committing their resources there. It is Dango Eaters with the engage going on to the Anivia here. The stun is not quite going to find its way onto Fakacha Franklin as the rest of the members here ready to support. A great Anivia wall once again is going to force the flash out from Fakacha. Enchanted Crystal Arrow lands true, but the rest of the members are not quite in range to offer their support. Douglas maybe looking on the backside there. Unstoppable Force is ready, but is properly marked by Titanium Pancakes. Scatter the Weak is going to prevent them from running on in, and for now, NWA is going to be forced to retreat as the back and forth from these teams continue to be a tug of war.
And now we're going to see reset from all of these members. And now we're getting to a point with critical item spikes. And we see so many items being completed. I mean, you know, we were talking load about this Gargoyle Stoneplate third pick item picked up, but it is all damage on the opposite side. We see Oh Baby also on 3 items on Ashe. Nearly Anivia with a completed death cap as well, coming in just under 1,000 gold. And already we see that Syndra's also building for their 4th item being that death cap. The big objective is going to be this Baron, and already it seems to be that NWA is in the space first.
Yeah, definitely claiming the space first. It looks like Hawkmo is going to continue indexing into defensive items as well, picking up that Negatron cloak and the Ruby Crystal. I would have maybe liked to see something more along the lines of like a defensive damage item, something like a Wits In perhaps, or BT or Shield Bow, like Ash is
Oh,
doing.
Douglas
But
going
no
in.
time for that as Titanium Pancakes is going to get caught out. A big shield is going to keep them healthy for now, though, and Cataclysm is going to be invested to take out Douglas. 2 guns still firing hard against Elise, but look at that. The absolute catching out the entire team there from the Anivia. A triple kill for Ashe. Oh, baby going on now. A quadra kill for Ashe. Olaf completely blocked from the approach of the rest of the team. Anivia once again buying the space they needed. We talked during draft about the value of the Anivia wall against Olaf.
Wow.
fighting
Wow.
off here as once again trapping him through, and oh baby is going to be free to fire. Olaf slowed oh so slow against these champions. A pentakill coming out for oh baby as they push on towards the inhibitor.
The better carry with the better positioning in the bigger team fight became the victor there. Oh, baby was able, after Titanium Pancakes got that massive shield, I thought they were going to be okay. But oh, baby laid the arrows into the back of Syndra, took down that one target, free fired, picked up four more, got the big shutdown, and not enough kiting ability, not enough damage there. Nitro not there at the start of the fight, and then went on to Elise, and you just didn't have the target selection. But the winner of that was that unstoppable wall. We saw Anivia put up that wall and just deny any person from touching those carries, and it paid dividends in that fight.
Absolutely, and we've seen this over and over throughout the course of the game, and especially in that fight. It is doing so much work, just splitting up the terrain, forcing Dango Eaters to be in disjoint groups that cannot support each other, whether it's making sure that Nitrodax cannot run through or getting picks on the rest of the
Oh, but
team.
that's massive.
Yeah, Fakasha Franklin does force out the ultimate from Douglas, but look at the top side. It's going to be a two-man Baron started while it is just a third dragon being picked up here by Dango Eaters, and it looks like Dango Eaters does not have any idea as that this is happening. They
Wow.
are able to pick up the Baron for free, so a nice call on the trade there. They know they have the soul point pressure and is able to get the bigger objective.
Yeah, and I mean, you had Douglas down there that was sniffing it out and did have to use the ultimate defensively. And because of that, NWA knew that they couldn't fight this dragon, couldn't play for soul. But look where all of the wards from Dango Eaters is. It's all in this bot side jungle. They have like 10 wards down there and zero vision on the top side of the map. Like you said, the two-man Baron was all it took. You got 4 items now completed on Anivia, a great macro call from NWA, and now they're going to be pushing in bot with the purple worm.
Yeah, Dango Eaters was prepared as they could be to fight that fight around the dragon, but NWA dodged them
Nitro.
expertly, and here comes another Nivea wall. There's the Nivea Poppy combo we're talking about. Ragnarok is going to have him just stutter stepping against the wall, trying their best to run away, and now Nitro is finding themselves at half health and without an ultimate, which means without much value, but here comes the engage from Douglas, a 3-man knockup followed by the arrow, but oh baby is very low, forced to flash on
Watch the
out, is
carries.
safe though. Fakasha Franklin goes on down and a massive stun coming in through from the Anivia. Nitrodax getting on very low, but Two Guns is pressing on forward. A stun comes through against Titanium Pancakes, and they are going to go down, and the Anivia value is going to be there as Two Guns finally is caught out and taken down. A final flash stun to close out this game from the Anivia. 12-1, finding so much value on this pick. The minion wave is there for the mid lane, and that means they're going to push on easily through the Nexus towers. 30 seconds before any member of Dango Eaters can spawn to offer any resistance means that game 1 will be going over to NWA.
The number 2 seed has risen again in game number 1 of this best of 3. They stood strong. They fought together as 5. They had the better macro in the decisions when it mattered most, and they're going to come away the victor of this first match.
Yeah, and I think it was just really great execution by these players on their champions. We saw Khalees with all of the counterplays in the early game, setting up themselves for success from the opening of the game. And as the team fights got underway, it was consistently Anivia finding value with their kit, offering so much denial and pick potential. And of course, oh baby, Sicarius and Douglas being the supportive forces here, either pumping out DPS or finding the survivability and engages to take their team to the victory screen.
Yeah, and now we have to see what is in store for game number 2. Will we be getting a best of 3 this evening, or will the number 2 seed continue their dominance at the top? You'll have to hang out to see what happens on the other side of a short break while we get set up and ready for game 2. It's time for game number two of this best of three in round two of the season 15X Tall playoff. Rift, we have NWA versus Dango Eaters. Once again, I am Llama with All Out Potato for the action. Band's looking a little bit different here in game two.
Yep, Twitch starting out the same way, but Dango Eaters this time around is going to ban away the Kog'Maw as the red side, thinking maybe NWA is going to first round it, thinking probably still that it is still the strongest carry on the patch.
Yeah, and a very strong champion. I mean, we saw how much priority that Dango Eaters had on it in game number one. They picked it as the B1 pick and then, found some successful team fights there. But toward the end of the game, their later game items became more tanky. We had a Gargoyle Stone Plate into Force of Nature, which gave Kog'Maw a lot of uptime in this team fight, but they didn't have the output damage here. And we saw how well Dango Eaters was able to stonewall and push through his five. And even though they didn't kill Kog'Maw right away, Kog'Maw wasn't able to kill them either there. And so we kind of saw with the defensive itemization, this pick wasn't able to be quite as valuable as Dango Eaters had wanted B1. So they put it on the ban table, but look what that leaves open. This was something that was put onto the shelf in game one. And NWA says we're going to snag that up as our B1 with a Melio pickup for their support Sicarius.
Yeah, I think definitely one of the strongest supports on the patch was banned away the previous game by Dango Eaters and immediately snapped away. Jinx is going to be taken though, so that is a denial for one of the best pairings, but I think you can probably just run the Ashe back again and, be still just as fine.
Yeah, and I mean, in my playing of Melio here in High Diamond, I have not seen many supports or ADCs that can, hard counter it. Sometimes you can play like a super hard engage lane, like Nautilus Samira, and you only have the one disengage option. But instead, Dongo's going to opt for some scaling choices with a Jinx Lulu pairing. And now we'll, like you mentioned, will we go back to the Ashe and just play for the outrange? I think it's a really strong matchup here because there's still chance to scale. And I mean, Dango, I wouldn't expect to see kind of the defensive Jinx build here. So maybe that we'll see two guns able to dish out a little bit more damage late game here. But a champion we saw picked up from Dango in game number one will be snagged from NWA here in game two, with Jarvan the fourth being the second pick now. That's going to be going to Helisa's hands here on the blue side.
Yeah, and I like this pickup. J4, just a very powerful pick overall into Jinx. Jinx is a champion that, obviously wants to have that uptime, wants to have the mobility with the passive reset onto fights, but when you're in Cataclysm, you can't really do that. And Lucian is going to be picked up as the pairing for Milio. I did forget about this one, but
Yeah.
definitely a very strong pairing. We had Lucian Nami back in the day. Well, say hello now to Lucian Milio. I think it's arguably just a stronger version of the same concept. You have three abilities from Milio that can enable the Lucian passive, a move speed bonus, and extra damage on hit as well,
And
as
extra
its own
range on
range
top of it.
extension. Yep.
Yeah.
So just really solving a lot of the issues that Lucian by himself might be bringing and enabling in many ways all of the aggression that this champion wants to be putting out.
Yeah, and really all the aggression, that we saw tampered, that NWA tampered in game number one, come into this game two, they're saying we're picking for the aggression now, right? You saw, they responded very cautiously in game one to what Dango Eaters threw out with things like the Anivia, Poppy, Lulu choices themselves. But now in game two, they're going to be pressing the advantage on the blue side. They're going for the aggression, for the kill lane in the bot lane, for the early jungler in Jarvan the fourth as well. And Dango seems to be drafting scaling stay back. But we'll have to see now because there's not a lot of disengage options that have been drafted here in this Dango team comp so far. And they need something to really tampen the aggression that's going to be drafted from NWA here. Otherwise, I mean, you're just going to have some sitting ducks here with not a lot of escapes.
Yeah, and with NWA banning away Silas again, it is going to be Dango responding with the Malphite ban, not wanting to see that a second time here around, and seeming like not wanting to play it themselves either. I do think it would have posed a pretty big problem for Jinx and Ziggs, so I do like that takeaway.
Yeah, and now we just have to see what Dongo's going to try to do here, if they're going to try to continue for the scaling or pick more team fight. And Urgot, I mean, not something you typically see in competitive play, but this is going to be the top laner now of Dango Eaters. Nitro, we saw game one that they pulled out the Olaf, but now in game two, locking in an Urgot, I presume, for the top lane.
Yeah, and a bit brave here, actually, blinding both of their solo laners and presumably leaving jungle for R5 here. And it's going to be the Annie picked up. So, some very decisive engage options available to the NWA squad with the Annie J4 combo. Against Jinx and Ziggs specifically can be a big problem. But Urgot also can be a champion that sort of is able to take over games if you get enough items on this champ, he just kind of becomes a walking turret. And with the shotguns going off consecutively all around him, can be fairly difficult for certain champions to deal with.
Yeah, but I think a really great answer in the Shen here, right? That's something that can negate all of that damage coming out from Urgot and his shotgun legs too. So, some beefy boys rounding out Dango Eater's team composition with Urgot and Maokai looking like the last hovers. But instead, just like in the first series, this is going to be Fakacha Franklin going back to their mummy in the jungle.
Oh, and I don't know how much I like that because I've heard Milia ult described as the anti-Amumu ult, and there's a bit of a reason for that, as any R play, if it doesn't catch out Milio, can just immediately be countered by the entire rest of the team. And meanwhile, you have J4 Annie Shin, the dive and reach potential of these champions to get onto backline is significant. And Lucian as well, just able to pump out a lot of damage to deal with any frontliners coming on through. So we'll have to see how these matches play out. But I think for me at least, I'm favoring the NWA draft a little bit more out of the gate.
Yeah, I think NWA has really drafted some early game options as well as some potential late game scaling here. I mean, you don't have quite the same hyper carry in the later stages like you might have had game number one, but you still have this very, very early potential. You have one shot for these squishy targets. Once again, we see the Ziggs and Jinx have to be so careful with their positioning. And yeah, like you said, I think there's something to be favoring NWA on. But I mean, maybe Dango has some kind of plan with their 4 or 5 picks here. But yeah, it really just sounds like some bodies to stand in front of Jinx and Ziggs in the team fight. At least they have some wave clear going for them, and yeah, some potential late game scaling that I'm not sure NWA can match.
Yeah, and Donko does definitely have chances here. Jinx and Ziggs, if they get going, can just be absolute pumpers of damage. And Ziggs especially can get a little bit creative with some zone denial as well, with the bombs and the satchel charges coming out. And who can forget the tower taking potential of these two champions if Donko Eater is able to take a team fight or two, can potentially start blowing open the map rather quickly. So we'll have to see if any of that comes to pass.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we'll have to see here just now a matter of time before these two teams are getting locked in and hitting the rift here. In the meantime, we're going to be taking a little bit of a short break as they get their masteries set and their lockouts and loadouts loaded. So take a quick break, grab some water yourselves, and on the other side of the short break, we'll see game number 2 this evening of playoffs season 15 of Style Esports, round 2 in the Ixtal division, NWA versus Dango Eaters. Well, Dango Eaters crawl back to a game 3, whereas NWA continuing the streak of being the second seed 2-0s. We'll have to see on the other side of the break. We'll get a prediction going here too. See what's going to happen. See where you're at. And we are on to the Rift. This is game number 2 of the evening in the second round of the 2 seed NWA up 1-0, season 15. So many numbers going on, but we are ready to go, Potato. The channel points are coming in too if you're talking about numbers. And now it's only one number to see. Will number 2 come out on top? Or will Dango Eaters force a game number 3 in this series this evening?
Yeah, it looks like Dongo Eaters are ready for any potential level 1 shenanigans as all 5 members there going to be stacking a bush to see if they can catch anyone out. They do have quite a strong level 1 with a Mumu potentially having 2 bites of CC there. But NWA not going to fall for it, just going to do a very standard 5 point. Everyone's safe for the moment.
Yep, safe and secure. All 10 members on the Rift early on in this level 1. And I mean, we saw really in game number 1 what NWA was able to do to really cease the pressure that was being exerted here from Dongo Eaters. But now in game 2, it's NWA. They're putting on the kill switch. They're playing the aggressive bot lane. They're trying to get it done here in this second game and pack it in early here. We'll have to see though, because I'm really expecting to see Halise starting topside, influencing this bot lane here, and I want to see the power of this melee Lucian.
Yeah, my eyes are definitely going to be on how this bot side matchup is going to be executed. I think Lucian just has so much pressure if done correctly. We do also have, though, Lucian opting for the PTA here. So any additional damage amp that comes out will be slightly delayed coming compared to if they end up running something like First Strike, which we
Mhm.
do see at times. But still, a very powerful combo for sure, and one that can really bring the fight over to Jinx and Lulu, and you can see them already giving up space for this
Yeah.
one.
Yeah, this level 2 already, they're going to be backing off just a little bit. And I feel like if you're Dongo Eaters going into the second game, if you go into the mid game at parity, I think you're very, very happy with that. We named already about Two Guns and Titanium being these scaling threats and want to make it happen. But already Titanium's going to be put in some trouble.
Yeah, Flag and Track does not quite hit, but the Annie combo cannot miss there. Electrocute bringing out the damage and forcing out the flash very early on for Titanium Pancakes. And Halise probably going to be eyeing that mid lane again in the near
Oh, yeah.
future.
Yeah, when the only way out now is going to be your satchel toss. It's going to be a lot more challenging to be able to escape the pressure of Jarvan the Fourth in this short lane for some of those ganks. But in the meantime, they are just going to go back to their clearing here. Oh Baby and Sicarius are going to be able to crash in this bot lane here. This is going to be now the wave right after, or that was a cannon wave that they were able to get all the way in. And so now we're seeing that these lanes are just going to reset now. But Two Guns hasn't got any wards out in this lane, and Dango could be in trouble. But Focaccia wants to make a play on mid now.
Yeah, Focaccia was spotted out by the Raptor ward earlier, but no, it was all a bait as Annie turns it right around with the double stun. Halise getting very low there. The flash trade will at least bring one back, but a double kill going over to this Annie so early on is going to put them in a great spot.
Yeah, and Halise and PNIS did both have to commit the flashes to get those kills, but Flash is well worth it. Matching the aggression, we've seen this from game number 1, Potato. Halise was able to counter gank so effectively, and once again, Fagaccia landed the first bandage toss and had a good start to that gank, but then the flash forward from Annie, followed by the flash from Halise, just turned that play 180 again, and how the turntables able to secure 2 kills for themselves. And that's going to be another great advantage for this Annie early on.
Yeah, and that's the power of the Annie J4 skirmishing, right? In this early game, the guaranteed CC, the burst damage coming out from Electrocute, and the Jarvan combo is just something that is not able to be matched by the likes of Mumu and Ziggs. And we're seeing here the bot lane matchup pay dividends as well. 30 CS up
Yeah.
or 20 CS up on the Lucian. Of course, Jinx will pick up some of this farm as it gets into tower, but still a significant advantage. Gotcha Franklin looking for a play on the top side, but Douglas really just going to shrug that one off.
Yep, and trying to commit some pressure here, but unfortunately, it's looking like Focaccia Franklin is a little bit more of a, who's on the $1 bill? Focaccia,
Washington.
Andrews. Fakacha Jackson, I think he's on the 20. Not really looking as much like a Franklin here. I don't think so. You know,
Yeah, not quite yet. Elise definitely has been outperforming in these early games so far, able to find the better plays for their team. And speaking of that, now making their first visit on for the bot lane. All summoners available for this bot lane. So Tucon's going to just walk this one out, is still going to be able to hold on to both the flash and the heal, but still taking a sizable chunk of HP in response, may be forced to just reset here. And look at the wave. This is Oh Baby and Sicarius able to hold this freeze for as long as they want, should they wish to. And the CS gap is only going to grow.
yes, gap is going to grow, but my knowledge is shrinking. I did have to look it up. So Franklin, of course, is on our $100 bill, right? He got Big Ben there on the $100 bill, but it's George Washington. I should have known that on the $1 bill. So, if Fakacha Franklin isn't able to pop off, he's going to look a little cheesy here and might turn into more of a flatbread Washington, maybe. Might have changed the name.
Yeah, maybe just a little bit. And Khalees going to be picking up the dragon in response too. So even though no summoners gained off of that gank, still going to be able to get plenty of payoff with this complete denial here on the bot side, getting this Lucian as far ahead as they want. And yeah, just look
Yeah.
at the pressure coming out here from the bot side. This is the power of Lucian Milio. You pick a champion like Jinx, and you're really getting punished here as a result.
Yeah, and if you're Fakacha Franklin, like you can't even commit resources down here anyways because you're going to lose 3v3s. And so if Halise is in the area, you have to succeed it. Maybe you can stop a dive or something, but like we're seeing already twice the CS. Oh, baby's able to just get over 2 guns. Granted, you want to try to play parity, you want to just farm and not die, but I mean, you can't even call for your jungler here because it's so hard to play parity fights. And even now in a 2v3, granted, you don't have the reset and the extra spent gold here, but it's still looking a little bit scary. Maybe they need these level 6s to come in before they're going to be able to make something happen.
Yeah, but their sixes are going to be delayed. I mean, look at the XP difference here. Oh, baby, level 6 already. Two guns and E
Yeah.
heal, both only level 4. So it is very awkward in this game if you're the Mumu. Because what lane can you play for? I mean, you
Mhm.
tried mid early on, but those plays got turned around, and now Annie's 3-0. You can try bot, but you lose the 3v3. And you can try top, but how much of an impact is that going to make when it's just going to be the Urgot ahead when your bot lane suffering this much? So Fakacha trying to find their way back into
Yeah.
this game, but it's going to get spotted on a war. No level 6 for the Mumu either. It's going to mean that the playmaking is going to be very diminished as well. So Jinx Lulu had to play probably mostly off of wave control here in the bot lane, but with the wave in the state that they found themselves in earlier, is just going to continue to be a little bit of a disaster for the moment.
Yeah, and as bot laners ourselves, or at least products of bot lane, what the situation is like as a scaling bot. Like you really can't pressure, you can't open up Lulu to do anything around the map. I mean, and across the map as well, it looks like Dango Eaters is just getting eaten up just a little bit. Annie able to use their whole combo, no ignite, so that means no kill. But look at Jarvan the Fourth now, might be looking to dive here, using the Timbers to tank.
Yep, Cataclysm is available. Will it get flashed out? No, the damage does land, but fortunately, Titanium is able to stay alive. Going to use the ultimate to clear out this wave, but another one will be coming in shortly. And yeah, it's been all coming up aces so far for NWA here in this early game. Annie able to just walk up slowly, drop the bear, and force Titanium off. And here comes the Rift Herald to add in further insult. This is going to be at minimum 3 plates down for this mid tower.
And that's still a successful gank. Even though you're not killing titanium, you're at least able to get some of those gold plates into your pocket. And that just opens up another opportunity to move into the bot lane. Because Lulu went mid to help cover, that means that this bot lane from NWA gets down here first. And now look at E-Heal. They know that something is up, but can't put their finger on it. An amazing little bounce there from Melio is going to disengage that first Q.
Oh,
And
and
it's
yeah, I
just
hate to see it. The curse of the
devastating.
sad mummy just missing there barely. I was gonna say there maybe was a chance to turn things around with the Amumu level 6, but just dashed away from on the Lucian, the super mega fire kick, staying true for its name, having as much of an impact as that might sound like. And even the TP expended down bot, but Nitrodax just gonna have to commit the walk of shame all the way back up top lane as nothing was found there.
Yeah, and so still some good moves from NWA, and they are still extending their gold lead. And even if it's not kills, it's still pressure. But this might be a kill itself.
Oh, yeah, that's the culling, and Two Guns unwilling to block any of that for their support. So Ihio just going to go down directly 100 to 0 by the dual cannons of Oh Baby here, running them down. And yeah, this bot lane advantage is getting to be very sizable.
And even mid lane, an amazing satchel charge there to jump on over the wall, but no flash
Flash
available.
available for Annie and not for Titanium, so
Yeah.
that's just going to be a slow chase on down. Doesn't even have to commit the summoner spell to find the finish on there. A few traps going down, but not going to be finding the bot laners of NWA here. At least once again finding themselves in the area, threatening a dive. It is at least Fakacha around to match and hopefully ward off any further aggression, but the CS gap will only continue to grow.
I'm trying to pressure a little bit here on this reset, but with 10 seconds until the dragon and resets coming through, this is going to be a massive buy difference now. Lucian on this reset with 2,800 gold in their pocket, and on the other side, Jinx with only 1,400. So Lucian completes the Stormraiser and gets tier 2 boots, Potato. It's such a big lead now for bot lane. You were mentioning it's Lucian with the double guns. Two Guns might need to change their name to maybe it's for the little fish bones there, but they got to flash out Two Guns and no flash.
Yeah, and that's rough. The Cataclysm is available to turn it on the backside if any more members come, but not going to be committed just yet. It looks like they're going to be taking the dragon off of Jinx's reset timing. Jinx is going to be getting close to the Storm Razor here, so if they can match it, it will at least be a bit of breathing room potentially, but no, not quite having the buy, forced to do tier 2 boots and just Storm Razor components. So yeah, Lucian with the finished Storm Razor is a little bit less pressure than back in the day when maybe a Gale Force rush would have come out and you just immediately Gale Force into them as soon as they come into lane and take them down. But looks like now Annie making their way down to the bot lane, trying to pressure in a few additional plates, perhaps 4 members brought on down. This entire wave is for sure going to have to be forfeited. The second wave too as well, and looking for some more plates
Yeah.
and continuing this bot lane lead.
Yeah, and it is impressive to see. I mean, it is very, very, I mean, I've used this word, but like the surgical precision that they're able to really fight with. They get one kill and they look for even more, but maybe now they've gone a little bit too far. Nitro's down here too.
Yeah, Nitro has made their way down here, but Fakacha Franklin is going to be the first one to fall. Nitro Dax also going to fall victim. That is the Stand United with their team. And look at Oh Baby, Cullen gets one, is going to chase on for the second one, and he does have stun available. Titanium Pancakes on the backside trying to find something, but you've got to think a Shen Taunt is imminent, and there it is. Takes them down with the Spirit Blade. Annie waiting there patiently on the sidelines. There's the flash you saved earlier, dominating now, taking down the Lulu. And this second game is looking a lot less close than the first. NWA just finding wins all over the map here.
Yeah, scoreline is looking a little bit binary, but it's just all yes for NWA and all no for Dango Eaters here. Plates are going to be falling just about 15 seconds, but the gold lead has been massive. Lots of zeros and ones in the scoreline here for Dango Eaters. And now 650 gold shutdown for this Annie. Yeah, I thought they might have bit off a little bit more than they can chew, but turns out that the ones eaten tonight are really NWA.
Yeah, and now mid and bot outer towers at critical HP as we move here to the 14-minute mark and take stock of what the game state is like. It is looking fairly dire, a 6,000 gold lead, and importantly, a gold lead just everywhere on the map.
Yeah.
There's not a single player on Dongo Eaters that offers a strength advantage compared to their counterpart in NWA. And so you don't really have a side of the map that you can play to. I mean, you can try top lane, it's the closest to parity, but with mid and bot sort of Armageddon coming out at this stage of the game, it's going to be hard to try and stop the bleeding. Here comes Annie again. Tibbers available. There's the stun going to be landing. A nice trap is going to keep Two Guns alive for just a moment, but uh doesn't even need the ultimate to finish things
Yeah.
off.
Yep.
Just the Annie Q is going to do a quarter of Jinx's
Yeah.
HP.
Yeah, that is, I mean, you mentioned it is dire now, Potato. You want to just try to stop the bleeding and scale. We see this pressure that you talked about getting moved to the top side. And even with a numbers advantage, it looks like when NWA needs to run, they can do that just fine. They're waiting for the members to regroup, and now they want to take the 4v4.
Yep, contesting the Herald 4v4 here. A nice big ulti coming in from Focaccia Franklin, but oh baby stays alive, and that's gonna mean the turn. Rocket coming on through a shutdown, being found by Titanium Pancakes, but Annie is in the midst of the fray. Douglas here at
The
1 HP.
dragon.
Actually, some good
Oh,
kills being traded over. The eye is going to be picked up by Annie here,
two
but the
guns.
rest of the team does not want them to be able to get away from it. But a nice Zonias and Timbers a slapping away. Now he's angry, going after 2 guns, 1 tumble. But fortunately, the Jinx is going to be able to find their way out of here. A 3-for-3 trade. The Herald is not going to be picked up by anybody, but some big shutdowns going over to the pockets of Dango Eaters.
I think that might even before. I think Melia might have died in that fight too, but
Oh, was it?
definitely an advantage. I mean, you want to take as many even fights like that as you can. The PNIS there teleported in just a little bit late, but did find some kills on the back end, but did lose their shutdown. So any of those even fights, when you are the team with the shutdown gold, that is bad for you, but great for Dango Eaters. Because do you know who's eating tonight? 2 guns, 1 tumble. They were able to get 1,000 gold there by killing Annie, and that's gonna not bring them back to parity quite yet, but at least slingshot their disadvantage up to even closer to trying to get even and try to hold on in this game and hold on in this series.
Yeah, and Ziggs picking up 700 gold from Lucian as well, so the money is going to the best possible targets. But now, both teams collapsing in at this dragon. It is going to be NWA taking this mid tower down first as Dango Eaters sets up around the dragon. But looks like everyone's going to get drawn over to this objective. Oh, baby, and Sakari is taking big chunks of their HP from that Ziggs ultimate there. But how is the approach going to play out? We do have 2 items finished on the Annie here. Zonia is available, and the aggression is going to just barely miss onto Titanium Pancakes. Does not quite land both spells here now. Both teams trying to buy space, trying to ward off the other approaches. Annie is on the sidelines, ready to engage. Is this it? Cataclysm goes in, flashed away from by
Oh,
2
but
guns,
look
but
at
a
that damage.
3-man Tibbers. The Curse of the Sand Mummy is going to come out, but the only members being sad here are going to be Dango Eaters, as it's a double kill coming over for PNIS on the chase here against this Urgot. Tibbers on one side, Annie on the other, caught between a bear and a bad place as the chase continues on now towards Titanium Pancakes, unafraid entirely of the Ziggs. And look at the damage. It's absolutely filthy. Another double kill coming on across 14 and 1 on this fire-wielding maniac of a player.
Yeah, Annie, that is absolutely insane. You shut down the little girl once, but she comes back with a fiery vengeance, and her friend Tibbers wiped that fight. So much damage, 3 items completed. That book with 10 magical pages in it is going to be slapping all these members of Dango Eaters around. It looked okay for a moment, but NWA is bringing down the hammer.
Yep, and no flash now on
Goodbye.
Jinx will make them an easy target here for the Annie. Standard tactics, sit in a bush and kill their carry.
And now we see why like Annie is such a premier player, even in like the top elo. We don't see too much skill expression from this champion, but like Annie is just so incredibly strong, all the way up to the very, very top of professional. This champion's be getting picked and banned away because it can just do this crazy stuff. And I mean, now this is going to be the angle that they're going to try to find. They have the Zonias available to buy some time and flash out. 4 members now. They want this little girl.
They really do want it. Another 1,000 gold shutdown is available for the taking. Rocket is going to miss. Focaccia Franklin just burning down to Tibbers, gives their life for the
Give it to
engage.
the carry.
Dominating
Oh.
now. The gold goes over to Nitro Dax on the Urgot. It is 1,000 gold traded back, but even then, Annie still finds a pick off on the backside.
Yeah, absolute insane carry performance here from Annie, but just went a little bit too far. But you still got
Oh,
another carry in the back pocket.
yeah. Oh, baby, finding out Lulu stepping out a little bit too far, and now they want to play for this red buff, going to start to walk towards the Titanium Pancakes and a bit of dangerous water, perhaps. Looks like they're going to disengage and be satisfied with the top tower instead.
Yeah, you might kill one, but there is another around the corner. Now that Annie is back and teleporting into the fight, they want to get more kills. And looks like Two
Yep.
Guns is gonna be hitting the gray screen once.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no summoners once again. Fakasha Franklin does still have the ultimate on the backside, so maybe they're going to look for some kind of play here, but instead it's just going to be the Baron started up by NWA and PNIS here, a one-man army zoning away the entire team, stun ready, and one ability, Flash Curse,
Oh.
does not land, and that means there's no good way into the pit. I mean, I guess you can try and bandage toss on in, so we'll see if oh my gosh!
Oh!
Okay, Titanium Pancakes keeping their team in the game there on the Ziggs, trying to salvage a bit of a gold bounty on back. A nice Baron steal. So still a really rough spot, but you'll take that. You'll take that if you're Dongo Eaters.
Titanium with nothing to lose. Fire away, fire away. This man is bulletproof, sniping away the Baron. I think it was the Arcane Comet that claimed that worm. And way to go, Titanium Pancakes. We're serving up breakfast over here. Nom, 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 nom goes the Dongo Eaters. And now, with 90 seconds till the Dragon, can they make this Baron count?
Yeah, you really want to see some towers falling here if at all possible. Try and collect some more of these objective bounties on the map, but you have to be really careful. Flash coming up for Two Guns very soon on the Jinx, but will it be soon enough? Because here we have the
Oh,
Annie Shen combo. They want to find out both
no.
members, and there's nowhere to run here. Ehio is going to be going down to the Annie. Jinx is going to be suiciding into the tower, and that's two Barons going down already. Even the Lulu flash blown there on the backside. Urgot does at least get one back on the top side, but with this 5v3 on the map, it looks like NWA is going to hold this.
Yeah, they're going to be able to hold it just a little bit. And this does mean with this extra damage, they're going to try to
Yeah.
get, oh, baby, they got one carry. Can they get a second one? Oh, that teleport means it is time to go. You got to get out of Dodge now and get those resets while you still got the Baron. 30 seconds now till the Dragon. Titanium Pancakes, you got the Baron, but I don't think you get the blue buff. You're going to be in trouble now, too.
Yeah, here comes the Shirelias, and the two-man Cataclysm is a good engage. Titanium Pancakes tries to blast themselves out, but the Leandry's burn is good, and now Focaccia Franklin is going to get dragged on down straight into the grave there. 15 seconds on the Dragon. We see the resets coming on down, and, you know, NWA is going to be on their way to claiming their soul.
Yeah, they're claiming the soul of the dragon and the slow of the Dongo eaters here, Potato. The dragon has now spawned. Only a miracle rocket or another great snipe from Titanium might keep him alive for another 5 minutes. But with the members grouping up here, there might be a small angle before this little girl and Shen get in the zip code, because this is going to be going down quick when the members come in. Titanium back alive and has teleport. I think we got to see Dongo Eaters making their stand right here.
Yeah, they've got to try. It's hard, but they've got to try. It is no flash on Lucian from the backside play there, but Focaccia Franklin and Titanium Pancakes are very far away, going to be slow to the play. You see here Annie just sitting in the bush, just zoning them away. This time around, the Ziggs bomb is not going to quite find it. Two members stun onto the tanks, but even so, we see how low Focaccia Franklin is
Doesn't
getting.
have
Even
ultimate
through the
either.
Lulu ultimate, oh
Oh
my god, a
my.
three-man incinerate is going to do just that and incinerate the entirety of the enemy team as they evaporate under the flames of the Annie, and now they'll push forward onto the tower. Only Titanium Pancakes remaining to hold, but how can they hold when you still have engage tools ready? And there we see it, the flash engage from the J4, chasing on through, diving through two towers to find that kill. A lot of tower shots going back onto Oh Baby, only one minion left alive here, so we'll have to wait a few moments before taking down the tower. But the reinforcing wave is on their way. They've got the ocean, so they're healing on up. They're sieging on down. They're taking down Dongo Eaters while they're at it.
Yeah, they're scraping up all the scraps, including the towers, as NWA plows on through in this series. They were able to secure that soul. And I mean, this has just been the PNIS show here. This Annie has been instrumental in the successes, has filled up the entire book, written every single page of their story, and they want to kill this Jinx once again. Just sitting around. If you run into this little girl, you're the one going home in a van and in a black and white screen. That's going to be a godlike kill for this Annie.
Yeah, it might not be the Jinx, but you'll settle for a free Lulu any day of the week. 25 pages here on this Match Eyes as well. And halfway between a Void Staff and a Deathfire cap, it seems, as well. 500 AP on this Annie. Absolute terror on the Rift, wherever she happens to reside.
Yeah, if Annie is on your screen, you are no longer on your screen, I think is what's happening. I didn't realize that Annie had the power to make your screen black and white, but she absolutely does. That's one place that you don't want to be, is anywhere near this girl, her backpack, and her bear Tibbers. I mean, the rest of the members are no slouches either. I mean, we've been talking up the praises here of PNIS, but the rest of the squad too just has been absolutely instrumental in orchestrating this precisional symphony of success here in the second round of the playoff bracket.
Yep, and now we have the members assembling around the top, maybe looking for another red buff play. Here comes Annie on the side. What can she find? Jinx traps go down for a bit of disengage. Nitrodax is a bit caught out in the middle of the entire enemy team here. And there's the Flash
Oh,
Tibbers. 2 buttons to take down the entirety of the enemy team, and I bet that one didn't taste purple. I bet it tasted gray, as they're going to be taken straight into the death screen. The wave is coming on in. They can go for the tower. They can go for the Baron. All roads lead to victory here.
wow. I mean, I just imagine if I was on the Rift in real life and there's this little girl flashing out from the bush and dropping this massive bear. You don't get to blink. You are just dead there. Oh my goodness. The Baron is theirs. The top lane is theirs. This game and the series is all NWA.
Yeah, and with the Baron secured imminently here, there's going to be one more reset as they get back on the map to start pushing down that last inner, getting those inhibitors, probably finding the towers to close things out.
Yep, and the teleport coming right back in. Annie's on this map 10 minutes before the rest of the team. Just really wants to keep just standing around and one-shotting. This little girl has now accumulated 943 ability power. Don't do it, Guns. Oh no.
Oh yeah, here it
Dead?
comes.
Oh,
Almost,
that's
almost.
one
Yeah,
Q.
one Q. It's a
Oh.
75%. Remember earlier when Annie had was halfway between a decap and a void staff?
Yeah, they've
What if we
completed
just
both. They've completed
basic
both of
finish
them.
both?
Yeah,
Yeah,
nearly a
it's
thousand ability power.
a little bit of rough spot for Kasha Franklin flashing away from the sheer terrifying presence of the enemies. Sicarius here, Giga Chad Milio just running straight at 2 members of the enemy team, not a care in the world, and that's what the gold lead will afford them to do, unfortunately. And here we go, the bottom inhibitor tower under siege here. The Ziggs ultimate is going to be expended simply to clear away the caster minions, but caster minions don't matter when you've got 2 Baron minions hammering down at the tower and an Annie ready to drop a bear on your face at any moment. It's still going to be all 5 members committed here to the bot side, but what kind of engage can you find? Can Fakacha find some kind of miracle play on the Mumu? Goes for it, but the bandage toss misses, and that's going to be the signal for Khalees to go in. 2-man Cataclysm is going to be followed up, not quite by the Annie, as Fakacha Franklin buys some space on the backside, but
Oh,
it's
they
not
got
going to be
one.
enough. Douglas going in with the taunt. Nitro Dax does at least trade one back, but Oh Baby is there,
Oh,
flashing on in, and look at that shield. Lucian was a quarter HP just a quarter of a second ago, but does not seem to be in that kind of situation any longer. First Nexus Tower goes on down.
oh,
PNIS preventing anyone from leaving so much as the Fountain Titanium Pancakes getting cold down, forced to retreat into the furthest reaches. Even though Baby is going to find the ace as the Nexus Tower and the Nexus itself goes down for the second game, a 2-0 victory for NWA.
Wow, an amazing performance there, putting on a clinic. PNIS was so hard to deal with there in that second game and just had no way to get through this Annie. Just was standing by their fountain and still one-shotting people. Finished that game 28 2 and 9 potato. Absolutely amazing performance.
Yeah, 60,000 damage is more than the entire enemy team put together. Uh,
Wow.
and if
Wow.
you exclude the Ziggs, it's more than the entire enemy team put together twice over. So yeah, definitely a bit of a performance coming out here. And in fairness, that is a champion that once it starts snowballing, it's just really hard to find answers for, especially when you also have frontliners there for you, Emilio there to cleanse any CC coming in. So, but still, definitely well played and well executed from these players.
And we see once again the number two seed finding success in the playoffs here of Style Esports. NWA had a bye. They came out strong. They came out hard. They came out fast. And I mean, they were able to really just secure this victory from just sheer performance across the board. Had great macro decisions. Even when it came a little bit dicey in game number one, we're still able to find that Baron secure, that trade there, able to play smart. And when they were ahead enough, they didn't even need to play smart. You were just able to run around the map, take everything you wanted. And like you said, I mean, just a great cleanup here from NWA.
Yeah, it just seemed like from individual playmaking to the movements they were making as a team, the kind of plans they were going for, consistently able to find the edge over their opponents tonight. So definitely a well-deserved victory.
Yeah, and so now as the next round moves on, NWA will be waiting here at the last stage of the Rumble stage to play the winners of Mythic Ascension and Poisonous Panthers. Meanwhile, this is a double elimination, so Dango Eater's not quite out yet. They're jumping to the losers bracket in the knockout stage to play the loser of Scout Gaming and I don't know. We'll have to see here what's going to happen next week as these teams look to continue through the Ixtal Cup of this Style Esports division, because there's still lots of games to play as we look to crown our Ixtal champion.
Yeah, and Dango Eaters did put up a fight, especially in that first game. Even in situations where they were really behind, were able to still find some playmaking opportunities. So if they, are able to brush up certain aspects of their team fighting or decision making, can still definitely make a good run in these playoffs.
They absolutely can, and we'll just have to wait until next week to see what happens here in the Xstall division. But for Style Esports, for myself, Llama, and AllOutPotato, that is going to do it for us this evening of these playoff brackets. There's going to be more playoff action coming at you later this week. Tomorrow, we're going to have another couple of great teams hitting the rift. We have Scout Gaming, and I don't know, we were just talking about that matchup. That's going to be an important one coming up tomorrow. TDS and Verdant Chaos going to be bringing you all of that action. So make sure you're around here tomorrow at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific to watch that unfold live on the Rift. For myself and Potato, that's going to do it. And we will see you next time.